Hello, hello, my little egoists. We are back with the second video of 2025, and this time we're gonna cover something entirely new. This time we're gonna be covering the second selection, and I'm gonna do a full-on review. This time I don't have you already know I don't have Suki to help me do this one, so I'm gonna do this by myself anyway. But it's fine. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this. So for this second selection review, we'll go over all the chemical reactions and all the best moments that have happened throughout. And I'll review and compare this thing to the first selection. But actually, we'll just talk more on second selection because this one. For the first chemical reaction is Oxobacteria ex Natia Seishio. Now, this one didn't really last that long at all. Because it was just a one-off match and, like, you already know Oxobacteria was stolen. So, yeah. Even though it didn't last long, it was actually a good chemical reaction. It got them a goal. So if I were to rate this in terms of narrative, it was worth it. Because we actually got to see more of Nachi Seishu. So yeah, in terms of worthiness, I can give this thing a B tier. Because at least it wasn't really that forgettable, but it was actually worthy of putting as a B tier class. So yeah, without further ado, let's get the next chemical reaction. Yokisagi x Nacha Seishu. Now, this was actually the most peak chemical reaction because this one lasted not one, not two, but 4 matches. Throughout, ever since Yoku picked Nacha in his team, these guys were actually peak. And not gonna lie, these guys were going all out. In terms of chemical reaction, even Yoku, for goodness sake, evolved. Like, Yoku and Nacha are both evolved in this thing. Yoku evolved twice, thanks to Nachia's chemical reactions. And plus, it was literally good. And to be honest, I'll give this thing an S tier. It's pretty much obvious. This one is an obvious S tier, by far. Can't argue with that. One way or the other. So, this is an S tier it is. Next chemical reaction is Arya Mikage x Xavier x Kunazaki. This one was actually pretty cool, not gonna lie. Yeah, so you got to see more of Yoku evolving thanks to this. So in terms of narrative perspective, the chemical reaction was worth it, but yeah, it only lasted 1 match. So I can't exactly say that this is forgettable, but on the way other, we actually got to see more chemical reaction. This one was actually the best one. So in this case, B tier it is. That's how we go. B tier, one way or the other. So yeah, B tier, that's how it is. Next is Yokisagi x Alfred Barrow. Now, this one was actually good because, to be honest, we never got to see Yoku or Alfred even work with each other once. But plus, thanks to Yoku actually deciding that he would devour Alfred, he literally led to his evolution, which eventually led to more chemical reactions. So one way or the other, this one was actually the best one. So I'll give this an A tier because it was actually worth it. And this one actually led to an evolution, so it will obviously be double evolution. If it was double evolution, it would be S tier, but just one evolution is just A tier for now. I could put it as S tier, but I'm being biased, but I would just prefer it as A tier. It's pretty much better like that, so we'll go along with whatever I go with. Next is Yoku x Nacha x Xavier x Barrow. This one was pretty much just a 1 goal thing because like we only got to see these guys out last once. But to be honest, it's literally a 4-way chemical reaction. But this one is actually pretty much better than what I normally do. And if you're talking about this chemical reaction, we actually got to see a goal. And yeah, all I can say is this chemical reaction didn't really last long and it's pretty forgettable because eventually they still lost the game. Narrative perspective, this is C tier. This is pretty much forgettable. Like, it's pretty much forgettable. I cannot even say anything about that. Alright, so let's get to the next one. Axel X Arizona. This one was I nearly forgot about this one, but thank I actually remembered. All I can say is Axel X Arizona was actually the best one yet. All I can say is, in terms of chemical reaction, this one was good. We even got to see Axel evolve this game, and plus they won, so in narrative perspective, they didn't really do much, but in terms of evolution, we actually got to see more. C tier because it's kind of forgettable. Like, I can't really say anything about that. So C tier it is. We're going along with C tier. Next is the Puppeteer Chemical Reaction. This is for episode Nachira. So, we officially get introduced to a new character called Yagi Kojiro. We even get a goal from him. So it's even good that we get to see a goal from this specific chemical reaction. So if I was talking in terms of narrative perspective, it was actually worth it because eventually Nachira evolved because of this. And we got to see more new characters from Nachira's perspective. So in terms of the second selection, this is a world class A tier. Pretty much better than expected. So A tier it is. In terms of narrative, worth it. Next is Wolf X Monster. And this is the best chemical reaction I've ever seen. But not fully a good one. But anyway, narrative perspective was worth it. It was literally what led to Nachira evolving this entire game. It was literally planned for Nachira's evolution. So what we thought this is an S tier. Clearly. You can't even argue with this one. This is an S tier right here, right now. So without further ado, let's get the next one. This is Double Barrier Defense. And this one was pretty much forgettable because, come on, it's literally only for defense. And like, come on, this is literally the last match. Everyone knows how to beat this. Obviously tier. I cannot even say anything about this. It only lasted a couple of minutes, but then you can't really talk about that one anyway. C tier. Next is the retweet chemical reaction of Wolf X Monster X Tank. This time, Nanetsu has been added to this to make it an even more dangerous chemical reaction. We get to see we even got to see a goal. And Nanetsu we actually got to see his aura thanks to this. So, in terms of the chemical reaction, this is also another S tier. Because now we get to see how Nanetsu is actually evolved. This is an obvious S tier. You can't even argue with this. Clearly. So, let's get to the next chemical reaction. S tier it is. No argument. Monster's Dream. Now this one is also another good one. This is also from the last match and it covers not just one exciting chemical reaction, one I actually liked. Because now we get to see none other than Nachira and Alfred evolve at the same time with each other. We never got to see them work with each other once. But for the first time in history, you actually get to see it. So this is literally a chemical reaction that came from Nachira finally eventually revealing how to beat Kiora. So yeah, this chemical reaction was technically the best because it got to see two goals from the same perspective. S tier it is. Right there. S tier. You cannot argue with me. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe anyway. But we still have more chemical reaction because this is not over yet. That's from Nachira's side of the match. So let's see Kiora side, the Sea of Sharks. Yep. This is the final the second to last, actually no, this final chemical reaction. This one actually was pretty fine because now we get to see another character with another chemical reaction. This one covered all the 4 characters that face Nachira. We have Kim, Akira, and Kei's Lock of course, and next is Natsumi Corona. This time we get to see a full sea of sharks swarming in a single tide. That was based on how Nachira described it. Of course, we get to see a full-on aura tanked chemical reaction. So, if I want to give this thing, this is also like a cool S tier. Because actually, narrative-wise, it didn't really do anything. It could be an A tier, but it's still an A tier. Because narrative-wise, it didn't really affect the story, but we didn't get to see more. This is obvious A tier. By far. So, now that we're done with all the chemical reactions, all I can say is that every character actually evolved. We get to see more evolutions in the second selection compared to the first selection. Like, literally every single person here evolved. If it wasn't for everybody just losing their rivalries, gaining them, you might even see more, like, thanks to these chemical reactions. And not just that, if I were to say this thing, everyone practically evolved in this entire arc. Imagine, we even got to see the final match. But to be honest, when we get to third selection, you guys will see more of what I really planned. And eventually your eyes are gonna see the biggest shock of the century. So, I guess that's the end of the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.